We do have a sad update this morning out of Townville, South Carolina, where 6-year-old Jacob Hall, who was shot and wounded outside his school on Wednesday, has died of his injuries. The 14-year-old accused in the shooting already faces a murder charge for allegedly killing his father before driving to Townville Elementary and opening fire at a playground. The shooter's additional attempted murder charge now likely to be upgraded. Our thoughts this morning are with Townville and with Jacob's family.
You just Velcro it down as tight as you can, just like a belt. Wrap it around, and you have this, and you start twisting until the bleeding stops.
Training teachers to stop the bleed at Broad River Elementary School. A teacher and her firefighter husband designed Jacob's Kit, a small trauma bag used to stop critical bleeding. The program is named after Jacob Hall, a 6-year-old who was shot in his school's playground in 2016 in Townville, South Carolina. Jacob survived the initial wound, but died 3 days later due to blood loss. Angela Byrne saw the story on the news and asked her husband how she could have helped the boy if he had been her student.
Dan suggested that he could give me a tourniquet to carry in my purse or to keep in my desk here at school. And then that kind of led to, well, what about every teacher at Broad River? Every teacher could have a tourniquet, every teacher could have something in his or her classroom to help in that, just in case that were to happen.
Kits consist of tourniquets, chest seals, and gloves. Jacob's kits will be placed in every classroom.
Having the kits, the Jacob kits here at Broad River Elementary is such an honor, and it's a rest assurance that we know that we're trained and we have the materials necessary to respond if our students need our help.
I think it's a good idea because you never know a situation might happen with a student or a faculty member at a school, so it's always good to have something to prevent a loss of life.
Like opening up the kit and just pulling it out, it's really easy. All you have to do is take the Velcro off and open it up, put it straight on the arm. I mean, it's really easy. There's nothing you have to really think about for it.
The Burton Fire Department has received several donations for the kits. They plan to put the kits in all the schools in Burton and hope to one day put them in all schools across Beaufort County.
And we really want this to be a community-supported project. The Beaufort County school system has a budget, and that should be focused on educating our students. And violence and school shootings, that's a societal problem. We should be helping to deal with that. So we're really going to rely on a lot of the public donations to help us get this project in all the schools enrolled.
The Burns contacted Jacob's mother, who was honored to have the kits named after her son.
She was very thankful, and she gave us her permission to use Jacob's name. And she was so sorry that it had to happen to her son, but if something good could come of his death, then she was glad that something like this could be put into each classroom.
If you would like to donate to the program, please email the address below. At Broad River Elementary, Ron Lopes, Beaufort County School District.
Inside the kit are the common items that have been identified in studies and on the battlefield that save lives in traumatic situations, chest injuries and bleeding injuries.
This is the CAT tourniquet?
The CAT tourniquet, which is identified in studies as being the best tourniquet to use. It's very easy to use with just a minimal amount of training. Some common bandages and also bandages specifically designed for chest wounds.
We were trained well with it, so now we know what we can do if we do get in a situation where a child is bleeding a lot or an adult. We'll know now the proper procedure to take.
Being in an outlying area, we want to be able to respond should an emergency arise with children. Safety is first.
And we hope by the beginning of next school year we'll have all our elementary schools taken care of. So today's a pretty good day. We're able to expand, especially with the recent shootings in the California school as well as the Texas church shooting. So we're pretty excited we're able to get this kit out in the community. We're getting more questions, more interest in not only the kits but the training as well.
A few parents out there will appreciate this. Broad River Elementary School is getting life-saving supplies added to every classroom, and teachers will be trained on how to use them. Fox 28's Josie Gregory shares one teacher's drive to save lives.
We have tornado drills, we have fire drills, we have earthquake drills, we have lockdown procedures that we follow. But in the event that a shooter were able to make their way into our school, what would we do?
Angela Byrne thought of the idea with her husband Daniel, a Burton firefighter and paramedic, after the Townville Elementary School shooting. Jacob Hall was shot and died 3 days later from massive blood loss.
What would I have done had Jacob been my student? You know, what would I do if this happened in my classroom at Broad River?
Her husband suggested carrying a tourniquet in her purse or keeping it in her desk, but she wanted to do more.
Let's give everybody a tourniquet to keep in their desk.
That led to having an actual kit designed to limit massive blood loss. Each kit will include a tourniquet, but also 2 chest seals, a dressing bandage, gauze, and gloves. And each kit will be placed right here in the doorway. With Jacob's mother's blessing, they named the kits after him and placed one in each of the 45 classrooms.
From the time a child sustains an injury until the time a first responder is kneeling next to him rendering aid, there's going to be a time gap there.
The hope is that these $50 kits will stop massive blood loss in the 4 minutes it would take Burton paramedics to get on scene.
Children have half the blood volume as an adult, so they don't have a lot of time. We might lose a child from a very treatable and survivable injury.
The goal now is to put a kit in every classroom in the other schools in Burton Fire's district. In Burton, Josie Gregory, Fox 28 News at 10.
All right, if you'd like to help and get more kits in more schools in Beaufort County, we have ways you can donate on our website. Just go to fox28media.com and look for this story.
Well, it has been less than a year since tragedy hit an upstate South Carolina elementary school. A shooting in Townville killed 6-year-old Jacob Hall and hurt several others. And that little boy's death has one local fire department wanting to make sure an accident like that never happens again. Ariana Poindexter has more on Jacob's pilot kit program.
Now, firefighters with the Burton Fire District are putting 45 of these kits inside each of the classrooms here at Broad River Elementary. Now, Jacob's name is etched on the outside of these kits, and it's a reminder that this terrible tragedy can hopefully save someone else's life.
For a child to die as a result of massive blood loss, to me, is unacceptable.
And that's why Angela Byrne and her husband Daniel knew they needed to do something.
Jacob Hall's story came on, and that was the nightmare scenario. He actually survived the injury at the school, but he died 3 days later due to blood loss.
Those chilling images sparked the idea of what's now Jacob's kit.
So the kit opens up.
Inside are all the tools necessary to stop any critical bleeding that could happen in the case of an emergency.
Children have half the blood volume as an adult, so they don't have a lot of time.
The Burton Fire District hopes by training all the teachers at Broad River Elementary to use the kits, it could save a child's life like Jacob's.
Very basic, simple stuff. There's not a lot, and we encourage all citizens nowadays to learn how to stop the bleed, because you never know when an incident's going to happen, and those seconds matter.
Now, currently, Jacob's kits are only here at Broad River Elementary, but hopefully in the future, the fire district says they hope to have one of these kits in every classroom all throughout the district. For now, reporting in Beaufort County, I'm Ariana Poindexter, WJCL 22 News.
New this morning, a father wants his Montgomery County School District prepared for a mass casualty incident, so he's donating kits to help save lives. Inside these kits is everything you need to stop excessive bleeding, from gloves to packing gauze to an official tourniquet. Chris Salo recently donated 6 of these kits to the Wissahickon School District, one for each school, after seeing mass casualty events like the Boston Marathon bombing and Parkland School shooting unfold. Salo says that he felt the need to do something.
Let's do something that makes a difference now. Or, you know, hopefully we won't have to apply it, but we got to be prepared.
These kits are called Jacob kits in honor of 6-year-old Jacob Hall, a South Carolina student killed in a school shooting in 2016. He was shot in the leg, and it was excessive bleeding that ultimately killed him. A teacher and her first responder husband created Jacob kits so every classroom would have access to a tourniquet. Salo is friends with the team that created Jacob kits.
A local school district is giving students a better chance of survival if there's ever a shooting on campus.
Yeah, the Ferndale district buying 220 Jacob's kits for its classrooms. Fox News' Camila Miri explains what they are.
Inside each kit is one CAT-T tourniquet, 6-inch responder emergency trauma dressing. There's a double hyphen-vent chest seal.
It's called a Jacob's kit, and there will be one of these small trauma kits in every single Ferndale classroom when the new school year starts.
In September of 2016, a 6-year-old boy named Jacob Hall was shot in an active shooter situation. The young boy took a round to the leg. He ultimately died 3 days later from a wound that if he would have received immediate care, he would have survived.
That school shooting was in South Carolina. Interim Ferndale Police Chief Vince Palazzolo found out about Jacob's kits when he recently attended a national conference and heard firsthand from first responders who helped save lives in the Parkland, Florida school shooting.
I used dozens and dozens of tourniquets and chest seals, and they saved a lot of lives there. So after I saw that presentation, I came back and immediately said, we've got to put something together. A really good turn, and then lock it in underneath that wing.
Each kit costs about $50. The city of Ferndale has ordered 220, purchasing them with drug forfeiture funds. And while Palazzolo hopes no one will ever have to use the things inside a Jacob's kit, he says they're necessary in the event there is a school shooting.
The minute that first shot is fired, you essentially have about 10 to 12 to 15 minutes to get some life-saving measures put on anybody who's been shot, or they're not going to make it.
In Ferndale, Camila Mary, Fox 2 News.
School districts in our area are preparing for the worst by adding traumatic injury kits to their classrooms. And KEZI 9 News reporter Jessica Babb shows us how teachers have been trained to use them.
These kits contain everything a school would need if a traumatic event happened. Things like trauma dressings, compressed gauze, trauma shears, tourniquets, and chest seals.
Constant conversation that we're having to keep kids as safe as we can.
That's why the Harrisburg, Junction City, and Monroe fire departments have been working with schools to get these trauma kits in classrooms. They're not your typical first aid kit. They're filled with specialized trauma equipment that's useful in large-scale emergencies.
I think it's great when you can empower an educator with the proper tools to respond proactively in an emergency situation so they don't sit back and feel like, what can I do to help? How can I help until the real helpers get here? This is a great tool for them to start early interventions that might just save lives.
The kits were installed in Harrisburg schools this week. Staff members also went through training to learn how to use the equipment inside.
I think anytime we can keep kids safer in schools and have those precautionary things there just in case, it's a good thing.
She says this was the first time the teachers learned how to deal with traumatic wounds, like chest injuries. The kits are all located in the same place in each classroom, so first responders can easily find them. Riley says they're also helpful for responders. They can ensure they always have enough equipment if something big happened.
There's no reason not to. Why not be proactive and place these valuable resources throughout the community?
The kits are about $45 each. The departments were able to raise money through grants and donations to get a kit in each classroom. Schools in Junction City and Monroe will be getting the kits in the next few weeks. Officials say they hope schools never have to use these kits, but they're prepared if they need them. In Junction City, Jessica Babb, KEZI 9 News.
Jacob Kits are a tool designed in Beaufort County to save lives during a school or workplace shooting. And as News 3's Andrew Davis reports tonight from our Lowcountry newsroom, the county is stepping up to provide kits to more Lowcountry facilities.
Well, it won't stop a shooter, but it could save a life. That's the goal of the Jacob Kit. Burton firefighter Daniel Byrne and his wife created these kits. Now the entire county is getting the word and the protection. The Beaufort County Council has dedicated more than $20,000 to buying Jacob kits and placing them in every county building. It's named for Jacob Hall, a 6-year-old killed in a school shooting in 2016. And those kits contain simple tourniquets and patches, which could help cover a wound, stop the bleed, or potentially save a life in case of an active shooter situation. Each county building will have one kit, which Councilman Michael Covert, who spearheaded the countywide plan, says is a good start to keeping everyone safe.
You know, this type of thing that happens, and we see it all the time on the national news, we think that it'll never happen here. That's what everyone else thought too. So we need to be prepared. I don't know if it's a level of peace that they have. I look at it more from the level of somebody can save your life.
Now, Covert says one Jacob kit is a good start, but more are needed in county buildings. He hopes to add at least one for every floor in future budgets. At the same time, Tuesday is going to be a milestone for the life-saving program when they're installed at Beaufort Middle School. That means every elementary and middle school in Beaufort County will now have a Jacob's kit in their classroom. Andrew Davis, WSAV News 3.
Teachers around Beaufort County have been trained to use Jacob kits in case of a school shooting or emergency. Today marked a milestone for those kits and the local firefighter who created them. Thanks to donations, the bags containing tourniquets and other medical items are now in every elementary and middle school in the Burton Fire District. Burton firefighters and Beaufort County EMS placed the kits in classrooms at Well Branch Middle School, the last school in the district to get them. Captain Daniel Byrne and his wife created the kits in honor of Jacob Hall, an elementary school student killed in a school shooting. They believe these kits could be crucial in saving a child's life.
Jacob Hart wanted to be a superhero, and during his funeral, everybody wore superhero costumes, and he told his mom he wanted to save lives. And his mom said, well, baby, one day everybody's going to know your name. So the fact that this has grown under Jacob's name and everybody knows his name, and it's spread beyond Beaufort County, but into other counties throughout the state and throughout the nation. They know Jacob Hall's name, and he's there hopefully to save a life.
Bluffton, Ladies Island, Beaufort, and Sheldon Fire have also bought, installed, and trained teachers on how to use these kits. The Beaufort County Council recently voted to put a Jacob kit in all county-owned buildings.